honored to be here with you today to celebrate the 30-year friendship and partnership between the EPIC Foundation and MIT. This partnership has been very fruitful for our organizations and for the world. Through discussions between the leaders of EPIC and the leaders of MIT, we have developed programs that have brought groundbreaking ideas and products to the world. Our partnership led to Project Oxygen, the idea that computing should be everywhere before the world knew that someday computing would be democratized. Our partnership led to the development of cloud computing before cloud computing was a thing. And today, our partnership is enabling smart decision-making for healthcare and many more applications that are meant to make life better for people. I am so grateful for the opportunity to know all of you, and I look forward to the next 30 years of ever-growing friendship and successful gifts to the world from the partnership between the EPIC Foundation and MIT. As I reflect about the future, I would like to share a few thoughts about one of the central topics that will decide what our collective future looks like. In my role as the director of the Computer Science and Artificial Intelligence Laboratory at MIT, I'm often asked to talk about the impact of AI. What will rapid advances in this technology mean for our lives, our jobs, our futures? AI is central to much of our C-cell research, and I am optimistic about what the future holds. I believe AI will improve our lives in many ways, some of which we've only begun to imagine. But my optimism rests on the belief that we, as educators, business leaders, and policymakers, we have the ability to take action and control the challenges that this technology creates. And that's what I'd like to discuss with you today. Why I believe AI can make the world better, the perils we must account for, and some specific opportunity areas where our actions will determine whether this story has a happy ending or not. Let's begin with the good news, because there's a lot of it. When I imagine what the future looks like, the possibilities created by computing, AI, machine learning, and robotics are almost endless. Remember when Spock shows up as a hologram in Star Trek in around the year 2300? Well, you don't need to wait till 2300 because we have the AI tools that support rapid holographic generation. And remember when Mickey Mouse summons the broomstick in The Sorcerer's Apprentice? Well, you don't need magic to make that happen, because research in human-robot interaction and human-machine interaction is enabling machines to adapt to people rather than the other way around, like in this example where the robot monitors the muscle activity of the person and adapts to what the person needs. Now imagine waking up enabled by your personal assistant that figures out the optimal time to wake you up because you have the X-ray vision empowered by AI that monitors the Wi-Fi changes in your environment to figure out fine changes such as the phases of your sleep. And this AI-powered X-ray vision system can help see through walls and empower an unprecedented level of situation awareness. This automated household can help take care of everything from plants to people. The intelligent watering system monitors the soil and ensures that each type of plant gets the right level of moisture. The passive Wi-Fi monitoring system can measure the quality of your sleep. When someone in the household needs a bit more care, luckily you have an interactive robot that can help. You travel to work in your flying car, which is integrated with the IT infrastructure and knows your needs, so that the car can tell you, for example, that you can buy the plants you have been wanting nearby and compute a small detour. This kind of autonomy and intelligence for transportation connected to the IT infrastructure will take transportation and logistics to new heights. And what if this technology wasn't just part of our environment? What if it was something we carried with us? What if we could have our own wearable computer assistants like Iron Man, but with superpowers focused on improving our situation awareness, health, and everyday lives? These exosuits could give you an extra set of eyes that monitor your environment and warn you of any threats on your walk home. And embedded sensors could monitor everything from your posture to your digestion, helping you make just the right adjustments to avoid back pain. These suits could even help us learn, acting as individual learning coaches, perhaps to improve your tennis stroke. There are so many ways that intelligent computers can transform our individual lives. And what if these machines could help us transform into a safer society, living on a healthier planet? Well, this is a snapshot of the AI future I imagine. But I know this isn't the future that everyone sees. And to be frank, we can only achieve the best outcome if we address some big challenges that stand in our way. We have both technological and societal challenges. We will talk about challenges, but first I would like to observe that the progress we're discussing today is promised and enabled by three interconnected fields. Robotics puts computing in motion and gives machines the ability to move. AI gives machines decision-making power. And machine learning aims to learn from and make predictions on data. And in the future, AI technologies have the potential to reduce and eliminate car accidents, better diagnose, monitor, and treat disease, keep your information private and safe, transport people and things faster and more cheaply, make it easier to communicate globally, deliver education to everyone, allow human workers to focus on bigger picture tasks like critical thinking and strategy, while allowing machines to take on the routine tasks. All fields that have data can benefit, and medicine is a great example. Machines today can look at more radiology scans in a day than a radiologist will see in an entire lifetime. A new AI-based approach was tasked with reviewing images of lymph node cells and diagnose cancer. On its own, the AI system had an error rate of 7.5%, which is worse than the 3.5 error rate of the human. But when the AI system and the pathologist worked together, when they reviewed the data together, the error rate went down by 80% to only 0.5%. Today, these systems may be deployed in the world's most advanced cancer treatment centers. But imagine a future where every practitioner, even those working in small practices in rural settings, had access to these systems. An overworked doctor may not have the time to review every new study and clinical trial, but working in tandem with these systems, the doctor will offer patients the most cutting-edge diagnosis and treatment options. Some of today's greatest successes of machine learning are due to a technique called deep learning. Deep learning uses data, usually millions of hand-labeled examples, to determine the weights that correspond to each node in a convolutional neural network, usually consisting of hundreds of thousands of neurons, so that when the network is used with new input, it will classify that input correctly. For example, the human might label this image as beach, palm tree, and ocean, and when an unlabeled image like this one gets presented to the network, the system can say beach. Deep learning is enabling many applications in computer vision and natural language understanding. And here is an example of dialogue between a person and a relatively new natural language processing system called the GPT-3 transformer. The performance is remarkable. In response to why don't animals have 3 legs, the system generates because they would fall over. So it's really extraordinary that we can get machines to operate at this level of accuracy. But these machines also make mistakes. And while deep learning has enabled a lot of new applications, there are significant limitations that need to be overcome for the next wave and in order to ensure that these systems are robust and trustworthy. To deliver the promise of AI, there are technical and societal challenges. On the technical side, it is important to keep remembering that today's greatest advances are due to decades-old ideas that are enhanced by vast amounts of data and computation. Without new technical ideas and funding to back them, more and more people will be plowing the same field and the results will be increasingly incremental. We need major breakthroughs if we're going to manage the major technical challenges facing the field. We also need the computational infrastructure that is needed to enable progress, an infrastructure that would deliver to us data and computation like we get water and energy today. Anywhere, anytime, with a simple turn of a knob. And we need the funding to do this. Now, first among the AI challenges is the data itself. AI requires data availability, meaning massive data sets that have to be manually labeled and are not easily obtained in every field. The quality of the data needs to be very high, and it needs to include critical corner cases for the application at hand. If the data is biased or bad, the performance of the algorithm will be equally bad. The research community is tackling these challenges. Now, furthermore, the deep learning systems are black boxes. There is no way for users of the system to truly learn anything based on the AI systems working. It is difficult to anticipate failure modes tied to rare inputs that could lead to potentially catastrophic consequences. We have opportunities to make a difference by shedding light in the black box. We also have robustness challenges and need to understand that the systems do not do deep reasoning. They mostly perform shallow pattern matching, and we'd like for these systems to do more for us. Take a look at this video. In this video, an 18-month-old child is seeing an adult perform a task for the first time. And watch what the child does. The child figures out what the adult wants and determines an action that will help the adult. Right now, we do not have any AI systems that have this level of reasoning. In addition to technological challenges, we also have societal challenges. The spread of AI will make our lives easier, but many of the roles that it can play will displace work done by humans today. We need to anticipate and respond to the economic inequality this could create. The lack of interpretability and dependence leads to significant issues around trust and privacy. We need to address these issues, and we need to develop an ethics and legal framework for how to use AI for the greater good. The spread of misinformation has been obviously a big topic in the recent past, as social media platforms struggle with their response to misinformation. As deepfakes get better and more widespread, this problem will become more urgent for national security. And as we gather more data to feed into these AI systems, the risk to privacy will grow, and so will opportunities for authoritarian governments to leverage these tools to curtail freedom and democracy in countries around the world. So there are problems, but these problems aren't like the pandemic. We know they're coming, and we can set out to find a solution at the intersection of policy, technology, and business in advance, now. So where do we begin? Well, how about some principles for an ethical approach to technological development? First is responsibility, meaning that human beings should exercise appropriate levels of judgment and remain responsible for the development, deployment, use, and outcomes of AI systems. Second, equitability, meaning that we need to take deliberate steps to anticipate and avoid unintended bias and unintended consequences. Third is traceability, meaning that the AI engineering discipline should be sufficiently advanced that such technical experts possess an appropriate understanding for the technology, for the development processes, and for the operational methods of the AI systems. Fourth is reliability, meaning that AI systems should have an explicit, well-defined domain of use, and the safety, security, and robustness of such systems should be tested and assured. Governance, meaning that the AI systems should be designed and engineered to fulfill their intended function while possessing the ability to detect and avoid unintended harm or disruption. And we will also need to look at all technological advances with an eye to what benefits they can bring and what challenges they create. And in particular, how do these technologies impact our climate? What is their carbon footprint? There are so many ways in which we can begin to address these questions and develop technologies that meet the desirable properties. But these solutions are at the intersection of business, research, and policy. Now, as we move forward, we don't really need our policymakers to understand all the nitty-gritty details of how the technology works. But we do need to educate our leaders and our citizens about the impacts of our choices so that we can make the right ones. I believe that together we can build a common understanding around 5 vital questions. First, what can we do? More specifically, what is really possible with technology and where can we improve? Second, what can't we do? More specifically, what is not yet possible? And third, what should we do? Fourth, what shouldn't we do? And finally, what must we do? Because I believe we have an obligation to consider how this technology can help people. Because ultimately, that is what it's all about. And whether you are a technologist, a policymaker, or a human being, we all have a moral obligation to use AI and technology to make our world better and the lives of our citizens better in a just and equitable way. The optimist in me believes that this can happen, especially if we have partnerships like the one between the EPIC Foundation and MIT. And the future opportunities are endlessly exciting.